So, did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with... Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food?
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be?
What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. Do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden. As a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm the void walker.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
All broadcasting from New York, upstate near the Great Lakes, it's Lighting the Void, and I'm your host, Joe Roop, and we're live on KTLK Digital Broadcasting, Fringe.fm. Make sure you go to the website, Fringe.fm, and our show website is lightingthevoid.com. If you want to sign up to our Patreon, please do so. Be getting that stuff out, too. Big stuff happening for the Fringe coming up. Sorry about the Pantera break there, but Ryan Gable is leaving on his road trip. So I got to, I had a last minute talk with him. I was outside on the porch and just kind of lost track there. So either way, though, we're going to have a broadcast tonight. So thank you for joining us. This show is always eclectic, it's always live, and it's always raw. And the call-in number is 1-800-588-0335. That's the call-in number for tonight. And we are here for you 5 nights a week, live, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Pacific on Fringe.fm. So we're going to talk a little bit tonight about occultism, but I don't know if you guys heard about what happened to James O'Keefe today, or if you keep up with Project Veritas at all. But he got banned from Twitter today, a permanent ban. So everybody, I'm not surprised, but I didn't know when that happened. But it just seems that it's funny. Like these social media guys, they're freaking worse than Nazis now. You remember the good old days back when YouTube came out and Twitter was the first like a thing, and Facebook was cool, and everybody could just do whatever they wanted to. I mean, I realized today that YouTube also. And this kind of freaks me out because I have a whole bunch of archives on YouTube. They can literally shut your channel down now. It's if you're not commercial. In other words, if they can't sell advertising on your channel, or they don't feel like they can sell advertising on your channel, they now are saying that they can take the whole thing down. And I purposefully turned monetizing off on my YouTube channel for the archives on purpose because I didn't want the attention. there's always something with these guys. They're always trying to find another way to control you or another way to box you in. So it's getting pretty annoying. But either way, you can always catch the broadcast live here. And if you don't catch it live, you can go to the website and all the RSS feeds. Yeah, it takes me a little bit to catch up the archives, but it's worth it. All right. So I'm losing faith in all of the systems of the internet for sure. I don't know what else to say about that. So anyways, tonight we're going to be talking about occultism, the big scary word, right? Occult just means hidden. Occultism is the study of the hidden arts or magic or what people deem the scary things about all of the mystery schools and the mystery stuff that we do. I'm an occultist myself. I like to spice it up sometimes and make it sound all pretty and call myself a hermetic kabbalist, but I'm more of a traditional ceremonial magician, like it's like old school compared to a lot of what a lot of magicians do now. So Ben Qayin is our guest. He's going to be coming up here shortly, and we're going to talk a lot about magic, chaos magic, and magic has evolved since the Golden Dawn in 1888. There's always been magic, and there's always been ceremonial magic, and it really never truly got systemized until the Golden Dawn. Though the Golden Dawn came around, and you'd have to read Israel Agardie, but they don't get enough credit for the stuff that they did put together, and a lot of things like Wicca and other offshoots of magical orders since then took things from the Golden Dawn and kind of put their own spins on them, but if you ask them, they didn't. But you read enough books, you'll find out that it really did happen that way. But magic has even evolved since then, right? So that's like the Golden Dawn is like the basics of Western magic or occultism, if you want to look at it in that sense. And magic has evolved since then into things like chaos magic. There's just straight up black magicians that they work simply black magic, or what's called the left-hand path. And there even pop magic. There's people just creating their own types of magical systems. You can do that if you become a good enough magician. You can definitely do that, I think. So that makes us question, right? Like, are the practices of magic and occultism better left without labels and borders, like putting names on them, or is it better practiced that way? I often wonder that. I've always wondered that. And can we go further in our workings if we have a teacher or a mentor? See, this is something that even I've dealt with. I think it's better that way. Like if you have a teacher or a mentor, but some people don't. But in the workings of magic, you'll always find out that there are people that want to be taught. And if you know anything about magic and you start talking about it, then you'll have I don't know how it is now, but when occultism started getting real popular a few years ago, everybody was looking for a mentor or a teacher of some kind. And I think that's pretty cool, because if you join like orders and stuff, you have to like learn their system, and people are always asking questions to try to figure stuff out. And there's so much to learn. It gets kind of crazy. But if you just have a mentor, like one person to teach you, kind of like the Jedi Master or Obi-Wan or whatever, then it's cool because you have a person that is dedicated to teach you. Now, when Aleister Crowley left the Golden Dawn and broke his vows and told all the secrets about the Golden Dawn and created the OTO, he also created a system called the AA, which is Aleister Crowley's system based on the Golden Dawn with a little bit of a twist, right? So he threw in some Eastern stuff, but the reason why I bring that up is that system, the AA, has a mentor to student system. It's set up that way instead of, the Golden Dawn and you have tutors and all this other stuff. You just have one person that's over you that helps you and kind of guides you through everything. And then when you get to a certain level, they do the same. And there's all kinds of different magical orders out there and all kinds of different secret societies that do this stuff. All right. So you don't have to, You don't have to join orders or anything to learn this stuff, and you don't even have to practice it. I'm just telling you what I know. That's it. All right. And then another question we should ask ourselves, I think, is do unseen entities practice magic in their realms? Well, what do I mean by that? You know how we always talk about entities and things that are unseen? Well, you can take that thought about entities in these realms, and they're definitely are. And you don't have to practice magic to figure that out. You can simply get into astral travel and start figuring that out. Or some people, have encountered them in paranormal experiences. I myself have encountered them in a couple of different ways, but sometimes I wonder if there are entities in the astral realm that practice magic. Because essentially what we want to do is become conscious while we're in our astral body, while we're in our lunar body. We want to become conscious, because if we can become conscious in that place, then we can take what we know, like all the symbolism from this place, and it does wonders in the astral realm. And I know this for a fact. So if that's true, then are there like entities that are practicing magic in the astral realm? I know it's a wild thing to think, but I believe there is. Hopefully our guest is going to help us answer some of these questions when he comes on shortly. But I found out that I have an actual lineage to a lot of the magicians that I talk about. I would say this, if you were there's a lot of arguments about it, and a lot of political BS or anything, but it doesn't matter. All you have to do is look it up for yourself. But if you were initiated by any person, either Chick Cicero or David Griffin in the two Golden Dawn orders in the United States, or by any of the people under them, and I really want, if any of you guys are in any of these magical orders, you need to look into this stuff. If it leads back to either one of those two guys, well, those two guys lead back in an initiatic way, to Israel Regardie, which leads back to Crowley, which leads back to Samuel L. McGregor Mathers, and so on. So I wonder, because I have a lineage to Crowley. I wonder sometimes if that is haunting me in a weird way or something. Who knows? Hope not. Nice. If you want to join our chat room, that freaked me out. Sometimes y'all do that, right? Y'all just throw up those pictures in chat, and I look down and I just look over and there's a baby with some massive eyes, and it just freaks me out. If you want to join our chat room, you can go to fringe.fm/chat room, or you can go to fringe.fm and just click on the Discord link there to jump in. But I am personally more interested in how magic works than magic itself, just to be honest with you. Even though I practice it, and I really got to get back into my practice, but I'm more interested in how it works, because to me, the more I learn about it, it's just a science that we don't understand, and usually that's what we call magical things, is like science that we don't understand. I don't even know if I would call it science. It's just something that's working in the universe that we don't understand, therefore it's magic, right? I'm going to stop with the gifts. Y'all getting a gift war in there. Let's see if you can have one that's freakier than that. That's the first baby I've seen in a long time that's freaked me out, by the way. I would like to get a better control over my lunar body, though, which means my dreaming world, become more lucid when I dream, be able to get out of body, things like that. And I had the freakiest dream the other night. Have you ever had one of those dreams where you're glad you woke up? You're just glad that you woke up, because most dreams just feel so real. And just like that movie Inception, you never know when they start. You never do, right? You just all of a sudden catch yourself in a dream. but I had a dream that like my skin was turning color, and it turned into like this elastic looking stuff. And I'm like, and I could just barely move and I could barely walk, you know. And I was thinking, I was trying to yell for help, but I couldn't because I didn't even have the energy like to yell for help. And I checked my journal about it too. I went back and it was this guy. There was this guy standing there looking at me and he was like, yeah, you need a bypass. In other words, all of this stuff was happening to me because of my heart, right? Like my skin was falling off and all this other crazy stuff that was happening to my body. And he's like, oh, don't worry. You just need a bypass. And I'm like, a bypass? Like, isn't that like a major surgery? And it was like freaking me out. And he's like, yeah, you better get to a hospital before, I mean, you got a little time. Like it was no big deal to that person. And I just had this the most like helpless feeling, you know, like, oh my God, I freaking die. Not only am I going to die, I'm going to look like this weird silly putty thing. I don't know. It was weird, but it seemed so freaking real. And I woke up and I don't think just a bypass, right? You need just a bypass. But I woke up and I felt so relieved, you know, and I drank like 3 bottles of water and went for a long walk and did a lot of exercise and I've just been eating vegetables like crazy because of that dream. And it could be fear of death. It could be stuff like that. But my point is you don't really know. You could work that out through dream exploration, but you could also work stuff like that out through the practice of magic too. The reason why I tend to stay towards more of the traditional stuff is because I like structure. I'm attracted to structure. That's why I always liked team sports. I always like learning new things and trying to understand the structure of them. I'm attracted to, believe it or not, I know some people won't believe this, but I'm attracted to like structure in my life. So anything that's going to bring me that in life, I'll get attracted to it. And the Golden Dawn is like the most structured magical system out there. It's not like just dive in and start invoking demons. But nowadays, they have things like chaos magic and all these other different systems where you don't really have to work yourself through an initiatic system the old school way. In fact, chaos magicians are only really concerned about what practically works in magic. Like they're willing to try anything and everything, but their focus is on what works. This is why you see these guys doing a lot of sigil magic, or they'll do even work with comic book characters. And most of the guys, when you talk to them about chaos magic, they all have different ideas about what demons are or what certain entities are. They don't. Some people believe it's all psychological, and because it's believed or made up egregorically, that's why it has power. And some people believe the entities are real, but it's really, I don't know. I know it sounds kind of scary to some people, but it's really fun to talk about for me. It's fun to learn. It's fun to read about, but there is some kind of freaky stuff in there. Now they're putting up Aleister Crowley kitties in the chat room. By the way, just for you, Brent Howell, I want to give everybody a shout out in the chat room. Daryl, Vic, Brent, Kat, 444 Nose, Jody, Rachel. What's up, y'all? Dream Girl, Mike, Bry. I bet you I missed somebody, didn't I? That Joe Roop guy, he's in there too. Michael Strange just stepped out. Michael Strange, that's a good show, isn't it? Guy's a great show. So I am, no matter what I do or no matter what I read about magic, I always get drawn back to the structured systems of magic, all the correspondences, learning the tree of life, learning what all those different Sephirah correspond to and the paths between the Sephirah. It's fascinating to me. The whole system structure, learning how magical the Hebrew alphabet is, how we can use geometrical shapes magically, the different forms of practice and meditation, and all the correspondences that you can add up to speak to your subconscious so that you can talk to your higher self and bring things down into manifestation, or change yourself, enhance yourself, fix something about yourself. But what a lot of people don't talk about, and, you know, Andy Cooper, when he came on here from the Helio School, is a lot of magicians get into this stuff too, not just to manifest things in their life or to have a better life, but they get into it to master themselves. And I can tell you firsthand, like, it does bring a little bit of chaos into your life, for sure. Things that can be overbearing, but if you can overcome them, if you can overcome the challenge, the reward is substantial. It always seems great. One day I hope I'll get to talk to you guys about all of that in my journey. I might put that in the Deep Void project, but some of the things that I did magically in the I guess I would say with faith alone, hoping that magic would do it. And the things that have happened and manifested have been incredible. Just freaking incredible. Tangibly, if you were to look at my life, it may not seem so, but I'm telling you, from where I've been to this point right now, I've come a long way. And I would like anybody that starts thinking down about themselves or down about their life, or any of you guys, if you do that, I would ask you right now, especially from 2019 to 2021, think about all the things that you've been through and you're still here. You're still here. That's saying a lot, right? That's saying a lot about yourself. I know that sounds silly, but really think about that for a minute. You're still void walking. And speaking of which, we got to go into our break and get our guest on. I'm Joe Roop. This is Lighting the Void. More coming up. You guys stay with us.
Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Want to know what's on the Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
This is Malorcas45, fan of the Fridge FM, challenging everyone to open their mind's eye. Listen to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop to gain precision for your third eye vision.
My name is Jake. I'm from Billings, Montana, and I am a Void Walker.
Hey, Joe Root. Thanks for lighting the void. This is Janine in the bluegrass of Kentucky, and I am a Void Walker.
What's up, guys? This is Damien from San Marcos, Texas, and I'm a Void Walker. I listen to the show to keep myself aligned with the world.
Hi, this is Laura, aka Laura Lavender. I'm from Las Vegas, and I listen to Lighting the Void because it helps me understand some of the strangest experiences I've had. So thanks for all that you do and for always being there for us, Joe.
Hi, this is Kronox from Belgium, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Hey, this is country music singer and void walker Jason Benoit, and when I need my fix on the world of magic and the capabilities of the human consciousness, I listen to Joe Roop right here on Lighting the Void Radio.
Born out of the alchemical tradition of Paracelsus is a medical tradition called Spagyria. Though not many people practice this work today, Phoenix Aurelius has been researching and teaching this work for the last 15 years, and he needs your support.
Hi, I'm Phoenix Aurelius, and I'm the founder of the Phoenix Aurelius Research Society, where I perform modern scientific research on the methods and techniques of Paracelsian alchemy and Spagyria for health, wellness, agriculture, ecology, and more. All my work is 100% funded by the public, so if you like what I'm doing and you want to support my research, please consider making a purchase of spagyric medicines from my apothecary, fund your own spagyric IDF wellness research, or participate in my group study or one-on-one immersion courses so that you can learn how to perform this work for yourself. I want to thank you in advance for your support.
Visit thefringe.fm/alchemy research and enter coupon code FRINGE and receive 15% off anything and everything on the website. That's thefringe.fm/alchemy research. And thank you for doing your part and keeping alchemy alive in the modern day. Welcome back. Our guest is here with us. Ben Qayin workings have spanned over several decades, and he offers his magical services through consultations, rituals, tarot readings, and apprenticeship. And he has authored numerous books, including the Volubilis Ex Chasium, I'm going to probably say that wrong, the Black Book of Azathoth, Harab Serapel, the Ravens of the Burning God, and the Book of Smokeless Fire, and Thaumiel, the Dark Divided Ones. And he has also designed two beautiful tarot decks, the Oracle of Cain Tarot and the Whisperings of Iblis. I'm probably saying that wrong too. The Djinn Deck and later mentioned deck is designed to work intimately with Djinn from the Book of Smokeless Fire. And if you guys remember the episode we did about Djinn, yeah, that's probably some pretty intense stuff, man. And I just got through asking you how to pronounce all this stuff, and I butchered it anyways. But thanks for coming on the podcast, brother. I appreciate it.
It's quite all right.
Yeah,
it's quite all right. It's an honor and pleasure to be here. So thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we kick this off, like, how long have you been practicing occultism and magic?
I started when I was about, I don't know, maybe 15, 16, right in there. Kind of branching out from my Judeo-Christian roots, just trying to find my own path, finding me. So I went through that and did my own thing, actually, at the time, because nothing really resonated with me correctly, not completely. There were different traditions and systems that I had looked into, but just nothing really fit. So I kind of ended up doing my own thing, which I didn't realize at the time was actually chaos magic. But it's about how it started. And then kind of in my 20s, I faded off for a bit. Life happened and all that. But I got back into it when I was probably around 25. So I've been in and out of the occult essentially my whole entire life to some degree or another, whether it be being the kid in the library looking at Bigfoot or UFOs or whatever was there, all the mysteries. So it's been something that it's just consumed me essentially since I can remember. It's just, how could it not be? The field is so incredibly vast and interesting. There's just so much.
Yeah, magic
and
itself.
You can
right?
delve into it, and I still find new stuff, and I'm just like, wow, how did I not know about that? It's awesome. It never ends.
Really cool. So you have you been pretty much a chaos magician your whole life? Since not your whole life, but since you started doing magic, right?
Essentially, yes. I did work with Goetia. With the Goetic kind of system, Goetia, for some time in a more traditional kind of format. But again, it really wasn't something attuned to me in such a way. I don't know. To me, magic is very personalized. Everybody does something a different way, and I believe that is the actual way. You can read in different books, you're supposed to do it exactly like this, move 2 feet to the left, make certain signs in the air, all these different things. And that's fine. For traditionalists, if that works well for them, then that's great. For me personally, it just never really fit that way. So all of my systems essentially, even in their complexity, there's simplicity. And vice versa, within the simplicity of it, there's complexity, so it's kind of one of those things. But I always believe that people should make magic their own, even with my own books, I say, use this as a template, build on it, add your own elements to it. Don't do my magic, do your magic. This is essentially the template for you to go forth on your own journey. I present what works for me. If it doesn't work for somebody, that's fine. They need to keep looking for what they're resonating towards. All I can do is put out there what I've done, what works for me and my philosophies. I by no means say that, hey, this is the one way to go. This is this is the way. Everything else is false. And it can't be that way. It's too personalized.
Yeah,
I don't even like the word magic. It's something that really turns me off because it alludes to, I don't know how it happened. It must be magic, and to me, magic is a spiritual technology. So there's a method, even if we cannot necessarily see it or understand it. There's definitely a process there. Things don't just happen, And that's kind of what led me down when I said I came back to magic as an adult. I started really looking at this whole thing, and I was like, I just can't believe that people say magic words and things happen. It just, I need more evidence. I need something more concrete. And in order to do that, you really have to look at physics. You have to look at the laws that govern our reality, and you go into quantum physics, and that's where I found magic. They aligned perfectly. So within looking in the micro, you find the macro, and again, within, without also. So, it's been a journey that has opened a lot of doors. And I'm trying to get that out. I'm trying to get out that, like, this is, this is why I say a chaos magician. I don't even like being put into a box, but that isn't really being put into a box, because being a chaos magician, you can kind of do anything you want, really. It's just, I don't know. There's just so much in this field to look at and to analyze and to put into placement. I'm sure in your position where you are, you have so many guests. I was thinking about all this that you must put things together. Even if somebody says one thing one way and another guest two guests later says something the same, something along those same lines, but says it differently. It's like you must be able to put all these different pieces of the puzzle together.
Yeah, so that's kind of what you're saying. Like, awesome. So people talk to me about like Magick. They talk to me about their beliefs and systems, or they'll talk to me about consciousness, and everybody has their own systems and levels of consciousness, or the out of body experience, and everybody has their own systems and ways of doing that. And yeah, that's what we kind of do here. I kind of like try to put it all together in a way. So are you bringing that up, essentially saying that's how you practice magic, right? Like, you put things all together.
Right, it's kind of like I said, looking at it as a technology. It's like you can look at one system and see how they do certain things. Maybe it's an incantation or evocation. And if that works for you, you can take that piece without adhering to the religion or the dogmatic restraints of that particular system. Again, it's just taking the technology out of that and utilizing it in your own system.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, you're also authored some books here, so let's get down to some experiences. And I'll say first and foremost, I know everybody's wondering. So, do you practice what's called black magic or any left-hand path magic? Any scary stuff? Everybody wants to know that.
I see it as so much of a wider perspective than that. What is black magic? What is white magic? It's like these classifications don't even really fit. I don't know what black magic is. What is black magic? To me, it's like if you're doing baneful things, I guess that can be considered black magic.
Baneful things, just for our audience, meaning baneful, like cursing people and things like that.
Cursing, right?
Yeah.
Along those lines. But if you look at white magic, if you will, if you want to call it that, what some would consider a harmless working or ritual or spell, whatever you want to title it as. If you say you want to win a contest or get a job, I hope that, I'm putting this energy forward and working with this particular deity or spirit, and you win. Great, you got the job. But what if you altered that so that somebody else didn't get the job? Is that considered evil? Is that considered black magic? So
I see what you're saying.
It goes both ways. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's really perspective.
Yeah, I guess so. I've never really, before you go on there, I've never thought of it like that. Right. Because if you would have said, definitely, like if you would have said, well, I'm going to do this spell so somebody doesn't get the job. It's totally, somebody's going to get the job. Right. So, yeah, right. I mean, I guess I could see it. That's kind of trippy to think about, actually.
Right. I mean, so it gives you some food for thought on that situation, So there's polarity. But yeah, personally, I believe that, and I go all into this in some of my philosophies, but it's like there's chaos and order. Neither one is good or bad. They're equal forces. And they're both equally needed. So, you've got on a small scale, blinded view, limited view, you're like, I'm warring against this other side, and this other side is warring against you. But really, it's like it's working like an engine to make the car go. They work together in order to have that friction so that motion can occur forward. Experience, knowledge can be had. And it's trying to take people a big step back and look at all of this. Look at the big picture of everything. It's not so limited. I see a lot of people going to the left-hand path, and they're like, I worship Satan. My master is Satan. And to me, this is very immature. And hopefully those people, everybody starts somewhere. Hopefully they evolve to a bigger picture of things. But a lot of people get stuck in that. And to me, it's like, why, get on your knees and be subservient to one deity and then get up and go be on your knees to another deity somewhere else. It doesn't make any sense. And to me, it's against what the left-hand path movement really is about, which is freedom. It's freedom and being able to explore your reality without a lot of this dogmatic restraint that a lot of people have conditioned within them.
Yeah, that's always kind of that.
To answer your question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just saying, yes, I do. I am polarized towards what would be considered chaos, or more of the darker aspect, or left-hand path.
So you've invoked some demons in your day. Is that what you're saying?
I have. If you want to call them that, to me, I called everything spirits, whether they be classified as angels, demons, gods, whatever. They're spirits of varying degrees or power, essentially. So, yeah, I definitely have worked with those. I've gotten really positive results. I've never had anything really evil or bad, or I watch these shows on TV and somebody drew a pentagram on the wall, and the next thing you know, their whole house is being torn apart by unseen forces. And I could tell you I've never had that happen. So,
it's kind of, they kind of make everything melodramatic, right? Like it dramatize everything. I get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean,
it's definitely interesting.
At the same time, though, is it dangerous? I always ask magicians this: is practicing magic, especially demons and stuff like that, is it really dangerous? Now, and it doesn't really matter how you answer. I'm just curious as to your answer, but I've heard all different points of view on this. But what's yours?
Well, I mean, to kind of answer your first question, I was kind of skirting around really, as I have had negative experiences happen. Like I said, I haven't with most things, but when working with the Djinn of the House of Thaumiel, the 72, I've had very, very negative things happen to me, even as what I consider myself as a medium for this information to come through. Just having them around, dealing with that energy at close proximity for long periods of time. I mean, if you said you talked to Navira Shadrach, he wrote or actually translated the Book of Deadly Names. He talks about working with these particular Djinn himself, and having crazy negative effects both in his life and those around him that were also working on the project. And I can report the same stuff. It's been been pretty crazy, but it's been out there. I've released it, and I don't plan on going back on writing on them again, or working with those particular energies in such an intimate way again. I believe what came through is what was meant to come through, and I'm kind of closing the chapter of the book on that, at least for now. But I don't foresee going back into that current.
Yeah, well, it can get pretty hairy. I've heard practicing magic with Djinn, right? So I wonder what's this? Have you ever been scared practicing magic? Has anything happened to you that actually scared you? You don't seem like a guy that gets shaken up too easily, though.
There's a lot of events that happen in magic that you get kind of used to it. Things occur. The more you practice, the more you do rites, the more you are noticed, if you will, like a candle in a void. Spirits are drawn to you the more you are interacting on those kinds of energetic levels. So, a lot of stuff does happen, and it becomes kind of normal. But as far as being really terrified or scared, no. Just like I said, just there has been some things. I mean, it's even been outside of ritual, just completely just outside of it, that a lot of these negative occurrences happen when working with the current of the Djinn of the House of Thaumiel. And it's like saying, this is just a particular sect. This is a house or a clan, a tribe, as they call them, of Djinn. That other Djinn, they have free will. There's some that have reported to follow Allah. There's some that are indifferent completely. So it's just like humanity can choose whichever they want. They could be atheistic if they choose. So it's just this particular brand. So I'm not saying all Djinn that one would work with would produce negative effects, but this particular brand is kind of like the worst of the worst, if you will.
So, in your opinion, the practices of magic and occultism are better left without like labels and borders. Like I was talking about at the beginning, you would rather it just be more of a free flowing type, individualized thing. It sounds like, right?
I can't say that for everybody, but for myself personally, yes. Yeah, it's a personal path. You can ask 15 magicians how to do something. They're going to give you 15 different answers.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that each one of those are wrong. You know, as I say to people, hey, if you're doing your magic and you're getting results, no one can tell you that you're doing your magic wrong. You know, so it's a very subjective and personalized subject matter. That's what's so difficult about this is people get into this, they, you know, start to set foot within the great labyrinth before them of occultism. They don't know where to begin. They don't know what way is up. And, you know, there's so much to try to take in, so much to try to process and fit in. I'm a very visual person, so I've kind of figured it out visually to me how it works.
Well, I mean, even it's a lot though, right? Even if you study like the basic, like Golden Dawn stuff, that's just old school. But it's the old, I'm thinking, man, I'm looking at this stuff and I'm like, when I first started looking at it too, it's a lot. So you got to learn the tree and the tarot and all the correspondences and the Hebrew alphabet. And, you got to know basic astrology, and then you got to study alchemy, and then you got to start learning the names of angels and all the planetary correspondences and where do you begin and the elements and stuff. So that's why I was always drawn to structure. You know, I would pick up books like Liam Thomas Christopher's book or Dion Fortune or Israel Regardi, and I'm like, oh, there's a system here. I can learn it this way, you know.
You know, I mean, to me, it's like, I see it like poetry. You know, there's all these different types of poems, all these different meters, different ways to compose them. But once you learn them all, you realize that poetry has no rules. And so you're able to completely, you know, but I think it's important to understand these particular structures in magic, these systems. But I think that really for the individual to grow in power and strength, they need to do their own thing. They need to make it theirs. It's like, again, you know, it comes back to the books, you know, like my books, I'll present a system, but I always say, you know, take this and go farther with it, you know. It's like the Goetia, you know, it's like this person, you know, whoever wrote the book, whether it be one or several people, you know, we don't know, but it's, they created that, they made that, and that works for them, you know, but it's not to say that you should expect the same experiences or that it will work for you unless you perhaps make it your own. You have to, and why is because you have to believe in what you're doing. If there's any doubt, if there's something that rubs you the wrong way, it doesn't align with you energetically, this isn't going to be a procedure that it has success. It's not going to work. If you have doubt in what you're doing, it's not going to work. If you don't believe your own magic is going to work, it's not going to work, you know, and that's kind of like where we cross the lines over here into subjective reality and quantum physics and how this all works with intent and emotional intent essentially that drives change in the world, you know. But I do strongly believe, yes, learn all the systems or go through them or at least be familiar with them so that you can evolve and see the bigger picture of things.
So I always, and we got to take a break after this too, but you know how you can do your own thing. They have systems and all of different, you know, different types of systems and structures. I was talking about the AA and all how they have mentor to student. What are your thoughts on that? Like, do you find it better if you have a mentor, or do you mentor certain people? I always thought that system was pretty cool. Like, you got one magic teacher or one more experienced magician that is kind of helping a neophyte along, and it doesn't go any further than that, you know?
Right, and that is really helpful as long as the guide that the student is following isn't telling them, hey, look, this is the only way forward. You have to do it like this to get result. It's fine to guide somebody, but you have to allow for them to have their own personalization in that experience. And that's what I try. I take students on quite often, actually. And I really like it when somebody's newer to the field, because what the apprenticeship is, what I call the apprenticeship is essentially it lays out the philosophy of magic. It lays out how to construct magical circles, triangles, evocation, how to go through all this and actually get successful result outside of any one particular system. Really, it's a foundation that can be applied, or a template that can be applied to any system. It's kind of like the working mechanics behind what makes magic work. And so they're able to take this knowledge and really kind of, excuse me, have a roadmap of what they're dealing with. Because, as we talked about, it's so incredibly overwhelming. It's just like, where do you even start? And this is why you have to, study this for years and years and years to really even finally get a grasp of the, topography of this situation, of what magic is and what it envelops, but at least coming out of the gate, if someone's really interested and they have a drive, they want to take their life into their own hands, they want to change their reality for the better, rather than just being a passenger. And then that's what I like to give them, is these tools, so that they're able to take this knowledge in and really transform their lives into something really meaningful for themselves. It's very self-empowering, especially for people that come out of especially like Judeo-Christian kind of backgrounds, where they are just kind of programmed, conditioned to believe certain ways. In fact, one of the biggest hurdles I have with a lot of people that come from such backgrounds is getting over that dogmatic hurdle. But, look, what you're doing really isn't bad. Does it feel bad? No. Are you doing good things? Does it make you feel good? Are you helping people out? Yes. All right, well, how is this evil? It's only evil because this particular group says, hey, that's evil because you're not doing what we're doing, and so it frees that person up spiritually. I've helped a lot of people get over that situation. Yeah, it really is limiting. It's just such a barricade or blockage for their spiritual advancement. They really want to move forward, but they've been conditioned since they're 3 that if they do anything outside of that paradigm or construct, that they're doing something bad. And it's really damaging. I've found religion to be incredibly damaging to people, and just in general. So, there's a lot of good aspects and parables and things like that you can take from all religions, but, there's a lot of damaging elements in there as well. So it's trying to remove those things and free up that individual so that they can find peace, they can find, inner love, they can find self-empowerment, and move forth. And really that's what the left-hand path is for me. A lot of people have different views of it. To me, it's freedom. It's love. It's a spiritual love. It's spiritual freedom. And people don't want to talk about that. It's all gloom and doom, and I'm wearing a cloak over my head. I'm worshiping Satan in a cave all day kind of mentality. And that's just really not what it involves. It's not what it's about. They want to look at, because we're left-hand path, we can do, baneful magic. Yeah, we can baneful magic, sure. But, we can also do a lot of good things too. When I look at the community, I see so much love in the community. Everybody is helping each other out. They're uplifting each other. They're, showing love to their brother or to their sister. There's no hate here. There's no anger here. There's no cat killing in the garage stuff going on. There's a higher spiritual love that is definitely present here, and to me, I think that's shadowed a lot and not really brought out into the public eye or understanding of things.
Interesting, very interesting. All right, well, we're at the top of the hour, so we're gonna take our break. We'll open up the phone lines too when we come back. The call-in numbers 1-800-588-0335. Ben Qayin's here with us. We'll be right back.
This is No Way Jose, a Northern California Piscean stuck in the Arizona desert. I'm a void walker, and I got the shoes to prove it. So what do I do when my soul yearns to delve deep into the realm of the unknown? I aim my satellite straight into the night sky and catch a smooth ride on the KTLK-DB radio waves. I tune into Lighting the Void with Joe Root on The Fringe FM.
Joe, Lighting the Void is the best show on the planet. This is Barney, your friend from Facebook. Thank you and all the crew for all you do. Namaste, my friend.
This is Macon from the foothills of North Carolina, and I am a void walker.
G'day, void walkers. This is Lily from down under Australia. The world may be small, the enigma is greater. So let your curiosity take you for a journey with Joe Root.
Hey, this is Fee, coming in from Central Maryland, and I am a void walker.
This is Kevin Doherty, a beginner void walker. I'm from Vancouver, BC. I know a little about a lot, and as Leonard Skinner said, I guess the rest. I learned a lot from Mr. Root on the show, and heard it from the beginning. I knew right then he was going to be a new art pal. Thanks for all your shows, and keep it up.
Hey, this is Derek from Mass, aka the Night Stalker, and I'm a void walker.
This is Mark from Chicago, and I walk the void to ascertain what is consciousness.
My name is Jared Johnson, and I'm from Humboldt County, California. I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a void walker. Thanks, Joe Root.
This is Barbara Charlton from Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've ever had a traumatic paranormal experience, the effects of it may stay with you for years. Who do you talk to? You can't go to conventional help. What we do is we use emotional freedom techniques or tapping to actually neutralize the effects of that event. Maybe when you tell the story now, your heart races and your palms get sweaty. You don't even want to think about it because you don't know how to neutralize that. That's what EFT tapping does. It neutralizes those emotions. The circuit that was recorded on is gone. The energy flows freely and you're free of it. And that's what emotional freedom is all about. We offer this as a pro bono service, but this is something that I offer because no one, it seems, is helping people with these experiences. If you'd like to reach me, it's really easy. My cell phone is 214-995-3754. Please leave a message. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Or you can email me, barb.eft@gmail.com. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Reach out to me. It's confidential. This works. You won't believe the results.
Have you heard of heavy metals? Yeah! I'm not talking about the heavy metals in the junkyard. I'm talking about the heavy metals that build up in your body. Heavy metals in your body can make you feel sluggish, fatigued, and just plain off. Why not try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com? Cleansing your body and making you feel great. Cleansing the inside of your body of intruders that sneak their way into you and set up an intruder camp. Life Change Tea helps remove unwanted intruder camps. Brew it, steep it, and drink in the results. Tastes great, so you can create a new health habit. Our tea loves to help people. It just needs the chance. So order yours today by logging on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Our Life Change Super Strength Tea is waiting. This could be a beautiful relationship. Take charge of your health. Order at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you are interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm. Or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
All right, 1-800-588-0335. That's the call-in number if you want to speak to our guest. Ben Qayin's here with us tonight. We're talking about occultism, magic, and all that good stuff, right? And again, thank you for coming on the broadcast. It's cool. It's been a minute since I talked to any practicing magicians on the show. It's been a long minute. So it's kind of a breath of fresh air for me because I feel like, and I want to ask you this too, you know, some people do magic for manifestation purposes only, and then other people practice magic to come in contact with their HGA or higher self. Do you do that kind of work too, where you practice magic to come into a higher spiritual awakening for yourself?
I think that just happens by default, really. You know, the more you work with these energies and really get down to the base of what you're doing, you are developing yourself. You're developing your spiritual self, opening up something, say your third eye, to this reality, to these worlds. So I believe that by working in the field, in magic, you are actually ascending yourself in its own way. But one-on-one with anything particular to do that, I don't personally do that, no. But I found it in other ways where I found how I've spiritually evolved. You know, it's not even just in a ritual or magic. It's really just reading the philosophies, reading all the different ideas and systems that are out there, and really taking it all in gives you that kind of bigger picture. I mean, I don't see how one can delve into this particular field with all its complexity and depth that you couldn't. You know, it really forces you to do that kind of work and to look at yourself and to see your weaknesses. And what a lot of people, what you were talking about on your last podcast was, you know, shadow work.
Right.
Looking at yourself and really working on building the weak parts of yourself up, and that is difficult. You know, that is hard work to do. So I you know, when again looking at your last podcast, I thought one of the greatest things that you had asked was, you know, what is your definition of shadow work? Because that's what I was wondering when listening to it. Is, you know, everybody has their own definition of something. So it's like, what are we dealing with? What is your definition of it? Because you hear it, you know, you hear shadow work thrown around so much, but, you know, it really does have a different meaning, or takes on a different meaning to a lot of different people. So
absolutely,
there is that aspect, you know. It's about, this is about spiritual ascension. This is about growth, you know, and in order to do that, you have to look at yourself. And this kind of goes back into, you know, as above, so below, or, you know, as within, you know, so without, you know, kind of situation. So it really it forces you to take inventory of yourself, where your placement is in this reality, in this world, what you're trying to achieve, and look at all these different aspects and your strengths and weaknesses that are involved in both, you know.
Right. Yeah. I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you on that. Looks like we do have a caller here on line 1785 area code. You're on the air with Ben Qayin. Who are we speaking with? 785 area code. I guess, I don't know if they can hear or not. You're on the air. 785, Northern Kansas. Nobody. All right. Well, they're there. They're probably just not responding. Anyways, I think, I think for me, I haven't really got into like the whole manifestation side of it too much. I've gone through just the regular, I would say regular, like Golden Dawn stuff, that, you know, working with the elements, going through that. And it's, man, it has its rewards, but it also, this initiation thing I was going to ask you about too, it also has its challenges, right? Like all of the stuff that you really need to deal with comes out, you know,
You know how some people go through their lives, I would say, totally unaware of what they're consciously or unconsciously doing. And I think we all kind of do that stuff. But once you start invoking these things, sometimes it kind of, if it forces you to deal with it. Does that make any sense, what I'm saying?
Yes, I understand what you're saying. Like I said, it is good to go through. The Golden Dawn is an interesting system. It's so complex in the rites.
Yeah.
But it's good to learn these things. It's good to go, at least like I said, at least be aware of them or understand a basis of them when going into the field. I think history is really important in the occult, in magic, knowing kind of the evolution of it, where the main branches were, the lineage of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, with anything though, it's like people in traditional circles, they're really opposed to anything outside of that.
Yeah.
Anything new. And that's where I thrive. I'm out here for a reason, and it's not just to rehash the same stuff over and over again that's done a million times. I really am in a position where I want to push the envelope. I want to push new technologies, new ways of doing things, advance the science, if you will. It's like, and a lot of traditionalists like, no, this is it. This is the end. It stops here. This is all there is. And to me, it's so incredibly limiting.
Right.
And again, it goes completely against the grain of magic. People tend to go from one box that they're in and put themselves in yet another box. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, one box to another. Yeah, that makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, to each their own. And I can't say that, hey, if that system works for that individual, and they're getting results from it. This is, they're loving it. How can anybody say that that's wrong for them? So again, this is an individualistic path, which is great because I see it coming out more and more. I see this movement moving, not just left-hand path, but magic in general. And it really comes down to the individual wanting to control their own lives, their own realities outside of a structured church or organization or this is self-empowerment. This is self-awareness.
Right.
So that's what it comes down to me. And again, you say, oh, left-hand path, evil, and that there's nothing evil about that. There's nothing evil about that, unless you're looking at it from a dogmatic point of view of, well, you're doing something against the word of God or, this or that. But if you take it outside of that, you really look at it at the base. What I'm wanting to do is push forward freedom, push forward awareness, conscious awareness.
Right. I kind of look at everything. I kind of practice my work from the Kabbalah, right? Or the tree of life. And it doesn't really matter right hand or left hand when you're going on that tree, because you're always going back to the same places and discovering the same things. However you choose to get there is how you choose to get there,
Kabbalistic magic is really, really powerful.
Yeah.
I found it to be very powerful. Especially you're looking at like books like the Sefer Yetzirah, which is the Book of Creation. There's a lot of writings that are really powerful. And again, why limit yourself? Okay, someone say, oh, that's the enemy's books, or that's there isn't. It's like, take information. I read all kinds of books from all kinds of different religions, all different systems. I don't limit myself to anything, so that's how to take it all in. And really at the end of the day, it's like people have an instinctual pull one way or the other. And if they listen to that, if they feel that and act on it, they're going to find where they need to go. It's just eliminating all of these mental barriers or constructs that they have put up, that keeps themselves kind of locked in a situation. My mission essentially is to free that. I want people to be free. I want people to be consciously aware of their actions towards each other.
Right. Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah, I do too. But I want to be aware of that, not only of my own actions too. So that's a part of it for me as well. But I think we have a caller on line 2. It says anonymous. So are you there, caller? Line 2. Who are you speaking with? Now I heard you cough a second ago. Is everybody getting stage fright on the phone lines or what? What's up, man? All right.
Hi, Joe.
There you are.
Me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Who are you speaking with?
Greetings, gentlemen.
Greetings. Who are we speaking with?
Oh, it's terrifying. This is my first time ever to call into any radio show, so.
Oh, okay. Well, it's cool. It's just us here. That's all. That's the way you got to look at it anyways, right? It's just us. So what's up?
I have a question. With both of your permission, if I may read a line from the Book of the Smokeless Fire. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure. If it's all right with Ben Qayin, you're cool with that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. I absolutely love this quote, so I thought I'd mention it. So, okay, it's from page 16. Here it goes. The world is in strife. So it's not chaos that is the cause, but the ever-oppressing forces of order. Order is trying to control everything. Right now, we see this in our political system, now that its dealings are becoming more and more transparent. Ironically, we also see this in the lack of news coverage concerning the forces of chaos that fight back against the spreading control, because order is suppressing it. The balance is not equal. And you also mentioned how you see this book as an equalizer, and the text will help sweep the world clean in preparation of a new era, unrestrained by religious dogma and corrupt control. So obviously the book was published back in 2014. So I'm just wondering, 7 years on, do you still hold the same opinions and the same visions?
Well, that's a good question.
That's a really good question. Yeah, that's a great question. First, I will say, it's like musicians, how they put out different albums. They often they're very different from each other. Some are very sad, some are very motivated. Some are, a band will go through many different transitions. The same thing with an author. Every book that comes out is a different period in one's life, and they are reflected within their work. Now, I have to say that when putting out Smokeless Fire, I did have a very big moral dilemma with the situation, because I realized what I was about to unleash on humanity. I was very well aware of it, but I also saw the bigger picture of things, and this goes back into chaos and order. And I talk about how one will rise up over aeons and can only reach so far. It's like the yin yang symbol or the taijito symbol. They're equal, and the other will eventually rise back up, and it's an ebb and flow. It goes back and forth. It's like I've said before, it's like once the proverbial boat has begun to rock, it's never at rest. A tug of war that can have no victor. So it's back and forth. I put the book out, as you said in that quote there, as an equalizer. I do believe that right now we're in an era that we're fighting for. They said it was in 2014, and it's 7 years later, and it's really no different. In fact, in my opinion, gotten worse. I can't sit at a stoplight without 5 cameras sitting on me. I can't, there's face recognition. You walk down the street, and it's like there's control that is being locked down. And the more that happens, the more people are not able to be free. And if you're not free, then within chaos, there is creativity, there is growth. Within order, it's locked down to the point where that is not possible. So it's finding a balance between the two. The book was put out as a general equalizer to put these forces in play to help fight it back against this control. I do believe in that still, even though I will say that, at some point the Djinn may have to be dealt with themselves at some point. They are not humanity's friend, these particular Djinn.
Does that answer your question? I hope it answered. That's a pretty good.
Yes, thank you so much. But, by the way, I'm Rivers from the chat. Hello, everybody.
That's Rivers, really? This is the first time you called in?
Yeah.
Like, all right, so let me explain something to you, Rivers. There is no reason in the world why you should be afraid to call in. You have one of the most amazing voices I've ever heard in my life. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'm a big fan. I'm such a big fan of your work. And by the way, I want to mention something. It's not related, but my birth name is Qayin. That is how I noticed your work from the first place.
Oh, wow. That's really cool.
Hopefully you'll find my work inspiring and helps you move forward on your own spiritual path there.
It's absolutely amazing. I love especially that book. It's so much information. Yeah. I just want to say that. Thank you so much, yo. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Absolutely. Call back anytime. Thanks for calling in. How adorable. That's the first time I heard River's voice, and she has such an adorable voice, man. That's really cool. I don't know. That's pretty epic, man, because I've done like 700 shows, and I've had people that have been in the chat that have never called in, and that was one of them. So obviously you're doing good work, brother.
Yeah, I'm just trying to do what I do.
Yeah.
Again,
Sounds like
if people resonate with it, that's great. If they don't, I encourage them to keep looking for what they're looking for. There is, a lot of people will write to me, call me master or whatever. And I just, don't call me that. I'm no master. I'm just a person. I've researched this stuff. I live this stuff. I don't go to work. This is what
like
I would be doing
Metallica,
anyway.
Obey your master. You're like, that's who you are as the master, huh?
I really hate the connotation. So call me friend, call me brother, whatever, but don't call me master.
Yeah. Dude, but seriously, like you, here's the thing. I'm talking to you like normal guys. We're normal guys with normal, and I wouldn't say normal intelligence, but it's just like a normal conversation. That quote from that book that she just said, that sounds like a whole other part of you, man. It sounds like that just came through you.
Well, there's different aspects of my personality, and a lot of people only see that side of me. When I write, it's how I think, but how I speak or interact with people is a little different. But when you're reading that, then yeah, I'm definitely in my headspace and going off in those realms. But there's a lot of information there. But I have I think I have a great sense of humor. So it's a lot of different aspects to people, and people get into reading your books or whatever, they see images or they see whatever, they have their own ideas of who you are. And lately, the last couple of months, I've really come out and kind of expressed more of other sides of my personality rather than just working in magic or cult or whatnot.
Well,
so I'm trying to show people, hey, look, I'm just a person like you.
Right.
I'm not on some pedestal. I'm not in some grand, place with gold and whatever. It's just like I'm just a guy. So this is my idea. These are the things I've come up with. People seem to resonate with it. Awesome.
Right.
But
yeah.
That's kind of where it's at.
I totally get that 100%, man. I'm just a person, right? Like you get that sometimes too, because I would seem people when you inspire people, they sometimes I think people get really grandiose ideas and stuff, but a lot of this stuff is inside of us all too. Like I think that's why what you talk about might have resonated so well, like because it's what you're saying is a natural truth, right? It's an observable natural truth. We definitely need. So based on what you're saying in that quote, do you think that we need a little bit more chaos right now? I would say we do. There's far too much control and order going on.
I'm really not a political person per se, but you see that really reflected or played out on large scale with countries and with politics and whatnot going on, and it just seems like more and more control is being locked down. people need to be able to be free. They need to be able to experience themselves in self-empowerment, and that essentially is killing that. You're being monitored constantly. You're being watched constantly. And
it's weird.
It kills things. It's like a forest fire. Sometimes it's needed to clear the forest, and new growth can occur. And that's not a negative thing. It's not a bad thing. Some people say forest fire is bad. But you can see the good in it as well. Well, yeah, old structures are brought down so that new can evolve, new can grow. And that's humanity. That's humanity. We all grow. We all change. Things change. And this is, again, comes back to kind of like, these orders as the Golden Dawn or whatnot that are so structured in their traditions that there's no room for advancement. There's no room for that growth to occur. And I find that personally very limiting. So,
well, that's probably why these orders, they're like the best things ever when they first start. And then once they, go on for a while, then they always end up kind of disintegrating or getting broken down to different orders and things like that,
That's because people are not satisfied within the one main group, so they're making, like you said, there's offshoots of whatever, so people are customizing things to their own will, to their own needs. Yeah. So.
I got to tell you though, man, I was initiated in a temple, a Golden Dawn temple, and it was like, growing up Christian, like you were talking, I grew up Judeo-Christian and in the world of guilt and shame, right? I grew up in that world. Right. And that was like a spiritually breakout. I mean, it was like one of the greatest experiences of my life,
you
changing that paradigm.
That religious dogma that was ingrained within you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those restrictions. You know what I mean? That's spiritual restriction. And you broke free. A lot of people don't make it over the fence. I've dealt with a lot of people that, they just can't break that dogma. They cannot get past that. And I find that really unfortunate. But hopefully in time, they will come back to it, or they'll want to grow. But
so do you do, and I totally agree with that, by the way, but how are you doing your magic with astral travel? Do you do any things in the astral realm? Do you have out of body experiences? Are you pretty proficient with it? I was going to ask you that in the beginning.
No, I'm not. I'll tell you straight up. That's not a strong point for me. Now, I have done it, but it's not been planned. I've had it happen on about 3 different occasions, completely randomly. But, this brings it back to when I was studying as a teenager. I read all these books about how to do it, and I practiced so hard every night, and I just never got anywhere with it. Some people have gifts. They can do this, and it's awesome. I wish I had that gift, but astral travel is not one that I am proficient at. So, yeah, people come to me, ask me about astral. I'm like, well, you're going to have to go find it somewhere else, or this guy or that guy, because it's just not my strong suit.
Yeah, I had to get incredibly obsessed about it to have an experience, and then I just couldn't get back out, I was obsessed about it, though, right. Honestly. Well, I mean, the reason why is according to the studies that I did with all this stuff and Rigardi and Crowley is that, once you work through the elements, it opened up more different bodies, like your subtle bodies, and the idea was to be able to practice magic in the astral realm too, right? Because there's entities
right
in the astral realm, and I've seen a couple of them, but they were just like blob-shaped figures. But yeah, I was just curious if you had any work, or maybe if you've even seen entities or astral entities or anything like that in your work.
Like I said, I've had a couple experiences. I've seen some pretty crazy things in those experiences, but the work I do is really is based one-on-one. Magic is extremely intimate. This is the thing why I think it's so important to make your own and have it be subjective unto you, is because it's so personal. It's such a personal experience.
Right. Right.
And I see, with a lot of the groups and whatnot, that this is almost taken out of it. It's important to build relationships with these beings, with these intelligences. work with them in that regard. I've got great results from working with spirits, and I mean, whatever you want to call them. A lot of people have different names for them, but I call them in spirits or intelligences.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I've had, you start seeing your results as like, you start, maybe that was coincidence, but when all the coincidences add up, you start to actually see your impact on your reality. That goes back to kind of my overall philosophy of what I consider the consensual reality matrix, which is the reality we all live in, we can observe and agree upon. Like if somebody were to walk in my house right now, they could say, yes, you're having this conversation right now. They can see that, they could hear that you're on the, on the other line. It's verifiable in the consensual reality. And then we have a personal reality, or what I call the personal reality grid of the magician or of the individual, which is, if you will, it's like we all have our own spheres. We all have our own personal beliefs of things, whether anybody else outside of that sphere believes them or not. And those realities are just as valid as anything else that can be agreed upon. Lovecraft actually said, paraphrasing, there are things we experience. Life is only experiences of the pictures in the brain. Some born of inward dreamings and others not. And there's no cause to value one above the other. Experience is experience.
Right.
So, that's kind of how I look at magic. That's how I look at everything. It's like, just take it as a whole. Look at it as a whole. People are trying to classify black magic, white magic, this and that, and it's just like, take a big step back and look at the picture of everything.
Gotcha. Right. Line 1505 area code. You're on the air with Ben Qayin. Who are you speaking with?
Hello, this is Beaver. Happy belated birthday, Mr. Roop. Good evening, Mr. Qayin, and my brothers and sisters of the Void.
Thanks, man. Beaver. What's up, brother?
Not much. So, synchronicity for me this evening. Young briefly. I'm a huge fan of Joseph Campbell, and he's a huge fan of Jung. Oh, and by the way, I got through your show through Grimerica.
Oh, cool.
Sorry, I lost train of thought.
It's all right, man. Do you have a question for our guest, though? It's cool.
Yeah. In a long way, my spiritual journey has led me to magic and leading into a higher level of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Astral projecting for me is it seems to come natural. And it's very, at first I thought it was lucid dreaming, but then it's like, no, I smoke far too much shire weed for my
right.
REM sleep's blocked because of that. And
right.
And anyway, I confirmation. And anyway, how can these astral entities, I call them guides, how can magic help the pathway to them? Helping your interaction between them.
That is a really good question. Do you want to take that one? I don't know what to call you, Ben Qayin. I can call you S.
You can call me what you want. Again, I can't really say, hey, this is how you do that, because this is not my strong suit. I interact with these beings. I believe that they have access to all these realms.
Yeah.
Spirits are aware. They have access. They flow through the astral. They flow through the material. When you're working with them, let's say in a ritual chamber, you're bringing them to you essentially, or meeting them halfway at least. And that's that chamber is sacred. That's the union point between you and then working with them. That's the best I can say as far as that goes. I mean, unless you have a name or a sigil or something to work with them and to meet, directly, then I'm really unsure how you would contact, particular guides in that way. But, if you have guides, that's the thing, like to me, I believe I have my own guides, and I don't need to be in a ritual chamber or do anything particularly special for that. I can sit as I'm sitting right now and have a conversation with them. I call it the universe. To me, it's the universe. Some people call it God, whatever you want to classify it as. I have conversations with the universe quite often, and to me, those are, my astral guides or my ancestors even, to help guide me on my path. So you don't need to be in a ritual setting to act ritualistically. You don't have to be in that setting to be magical. Everything is magical. Magic flows through everything. It's what we are. It's our thoughts. It's our emotions. It's how we interact with things. It all starts with intent. Intent is key. Intent is key. Without intent, then nothing manifests. Nothing happens. So it's just open up. I mean, when I have people go into a ritual, or I'm trying to train somebody to actually work with entities, I tell them, look, you can read the evocation, you can go through it and really put your heart into it, but then to me, it's like, I always have a book, because my memory sucks as far as remembering how to say whatever. So I'll always have a book with me. But once you have said that, once you've done the evocation, once you have brought this being forth, I tell them just to put the book down and speak from your heart. That is the most important thing you can possibly do in any kind of situation, is actually speak from your heart what you are wanting, and just open up one-on-one to that entity. And most people look at magic as an operation. You push this button and then this reaction happens. And it's not like that. It's a very intimate situation where you are interacting one-on-one with another intelligence. So if you really open up with your heart, really open up and speak from your own personal truth, you're going to get results from this. And that is, that's the most key thing I can say in this situation or in this conversation, is whatever you do out there, whatever your form of magic is, whatever system you're practicing, speak from your heart. Don't go through it as just an operation, like, baking something. You mix this and that, you put the oven on for 400, to bake for 400 to get this result. It's not like that. It's not a machine. And people see it as a machine, and something that really bothers me is when I hear people say, I used that spirit for this, I used that spirit for that. I don't use spirits, I work with them. But they're seeing it as an operation. They're seeing it as an element in a process. And I'm trying to get people to really understand, look, this is another intelligence. It's not just a part of the construct. There's an actual thought process behind this situation, and it's really important for one to open up on an emotional level to manifest what they are going for in their reality.
I would say this too, like, I don't know if you're still there, but I've had personal experiences with this. Like when I started doing just the regular, like, middle pillar stuff and just some of the basic stuff that I was taught, it was the first time that I ever did those things. And I think anytime you do that, like he's talking about, you start lighting yourself up in the astral realm, it's going to ignite certain things inside you. And the one time I did have an out-of-body experience, I couldn't tell you if it was because I was listening to Robert Monroe and doing those things or the magic I was practicing, right? So, but I will say that it does, according to all of the old scholars, it does light up your astral body if you do a daily ritual practice, that stuff, especially if it's grounding and things like that, however you want to do it. That's my experience with it, though.
See, that's just exactly what I was saying. The more you...
No, go ahead. Go ahead. S-Man.
Well, I was just saying, like what you were saying right there, is, as I was saying earlier, the more you work in magic, the more you are putting this kind of energy and intent out into the universe, the higher you're vibrating, and the more activity you actually occur around you. So, yeah, exactly what you were saying.
Well, sorry, buddy, I can't hear what you're saying. Say that again. What did you just say?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you. We got you.
I spend a lot of time in the forest. Like right now, I'm able to listen live just because I happen to be in the forest somewhere where I'm camping out and there's cell service. I am like constantly immersed in this energy, and I just find it peculiar when I wake up knowing I had out of body experiences, and I'm, the bald eagle's there. There's an elk bumping into my truck. Just weird, what some people would consider weird things like that. And so if I would just, stop fixating and let go, would it, help the process better?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, I'd have no idea. Like, I would read a bunch of, like, if you want to know, like, read some old school Golden Dawn stuff, and then read Ben Qayin's book, and then see which one feels better for you. But walking in the forest and stuff, that's always good. Anyways, you go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's fine. I agree. It's like, yeah, I mean, learn as much as you can from everything, Don't limit yourself. But being in the forest, that's amazing. And what you're talking about with seeing these different signs, the universe is speaking to you. You're opening up your third eye. You're opening up your spirituality to where you're seeing the signs. You're beginning to have eyes to see that the universe is interacting with you. You are seeing these things. You are seeing these signs, making these connections spiritually. And so, you're on the right path. I grew up in the forest myself, so I understand very much the energy you're speaking of, and it's incredibly powerful. Just being out there in that element of nature itself and doing rites or just meditating, it's incredibly powerful there. To me, there's a peace within the forest that I can't find anywhere else.
Absolutely.
I miss it quite a bit.
Yeah, there is a piece there. I hope that helped you, and thanks for your call, by the way.
Not a problem. Thank you.
You have a good night. Yeah,
you as well. Thanks, man.
The forest or anything that you do to ground yourself, I think, is important, right? So you do, but then I guess after a while you start saying, okay, well, what are the fundamentals for me? Like, what helps? Because I kind of get what you're saying, right? Like, there are certain things that I've practiced that just didn't seem to do anything for me, and then other things that really worked. So I guess you kind of go through a whole bunch of stuff until you start figuring out what works for you, right?
Precisely. There's a lot of trial and error, but what I always tell people is follow your instincts. It's not going to guide you wrong. Go with what you feel. If you're doing a system and you want to add a certain sigil or something to what's been laid out, then do it. The more you believe in your magic, the stronger it is, the more result you get. It's such a learning curve with all this, and I can see how intimidating it would be to just kind of step in and try to understand or make heads and tails of it all. Which again, it's why I kind of offer the apprenticeship, is to help guide people through this this kind of haze or murky waters here to kind of get a roadmap of what's going on and give them a direction as far as what to do, what to work on, how to go forth in this realm or in this this area of to me it's science, so area of science.
Man, I love to get into the philosophy of this stuff too. I love talking about it, but there's always some times I wonder, and I should ask every magician that comes on this show this. What do you think the one, I would say, magical operation, if you had to give us a story about one that totally went awry on you, right? Because if anybody's done this stuff long enough, I would think sometimes things just do not go the way you thought it was going to, or it goes crazy. You know what I mean? Like an operation or something, or the effect of it. Did that ever happen to you in a big way?
I can't honestly, looking back, I'm trying to think of something that has gone horribly wrong or like what you're describing. I can't honestly think of anything, the only thing that really comes to mind is my experiences with the Thaumiel Djinn. It's just a whole nother animal. But I've never had anything really negative happen to me, or things go crazy, or that just hasn't happened. I'm not saying that other people haven't had that happen, or that I'm special in some way. I'm just saying I haven't experienced that. Did I believe, though? It all comes back down to your intent. What are you trying to do? That's the bottom line of everything. If your intent is really negative or whatever towards people that have not harmed you or things like this, I do believe that, things aren't, the spirits themselves have an intelligence. They can decide what is just or not. That's an element that people don't understand in magic, is they can appear if they want to, they can not appear. They can appear in any different form they want to. It just depends. It's up to them. A lot of people look at operations of magic. I did this, and this, step 1, 2, and 3, and I didn't get the result. Why? Well, have you considered that maybe the spirit didn't want to? So they're questioning what they did wrong, but they're taking out the free will of the spirit involved in that. Again, they're looking at it more as an operation than it is a spiritual kind of experience. So, you just have to take these different variables in and kind of weigh it out. It's the Wild West out here. We're at least for me, I'm pushing forth new boundaries, new envelopes. I want to see progress. I want to see things move forward. I don't want to do the same stuff over and over and over and over again. I'm in a position where I'm able to try to push forth some new ideas. She was talking, the first caller was talking about information in the Book of Smokeless Fire. Well, it's not just about the Djinn. I go into angles there. I go into evocation there. I go, there's things that are in there that are elements you can apply to anything. Dealing with magic, it's not just for this particular system. These are principles that can transcend many different systems. So it's all about finding what works for you and going with it. And a lot of people just can't trust their instincts to do that. And that's something I try to cultivate in an individual, is look, trust your instinct. It's like Toucan Sam says, trust your nose, it always knows.
Toucan Sam, I ain't heard that.
You feel.
I ain't even heard of anybody bring the Toucan Sam's name up since I was a kid, man. I'm 40 years old. Yeah, follow your nose. I remember those commercials too. Trust your nose. So that's brings up a good topic as far as intuition goes. Like, if anything I could say about magic, and I know Israel Regardie quoted this, he said magic was all about learning to listen to the intuition, learning to trust it and use it in a way too. Would you agree with that the intuition is a big thing in magic?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Following your gut, following excuse me, your intuition, and going with what feels right for you personally. And again, this comes back to that personal freedom. But see, the problem with the situation is people are like, well, there's no structure. What do I do? How do I do this? And so it's like you give them a little bit of structure to build upon. Is kind of where I'm at with these systems that I've come up with. Yeah, they work for me, great, but you should take it and make it yours, add to it, subtract from it, do what you need to do to make it yours. So
yeah.
It's a large subject. It's really hard to try to pinpoint it all and get into it, every little aspect of it, because it's simple in its complexity. There's a lot that goes into it, but if you really look at the base principles of it, it's very simple. So yes, follow your intuition. Do not go against it. If something doesn't feel right to you, then it's not right. If something really, really feels right for you, go with that. Explore that. See what's drawing you towards that. You need to explore what that situation is.
Man, I've always been that way. Like I go. And I've been called impulsive or indulgent, or even I think that scares some people too, with somebody that just goes for what they want, but also listens to their intuition and kind of everybody. And I think people look at occultists and magicians that way too. You're this carefree person that just does whatever you want, and kind of like the whole Crowley mentality of do what thou wilt, and like we're a bunch of rebels and things like that. But really, It's not really like, there is some fundamental like laws of the universe that you start to understand. It doesn't mean it's not narrowed down to a dogma though, for sure. So
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm speaking about, is universally looking at all these, excuse me, all these systems, and with chaos magic, essentially what it is taking these different technologies, or even philosophies if they apply to you, and adding them into your own repertoire, without having to adhere to, that religious mythology or a dogma that's involved with that. Looking at it as a technology. All right, yeah, I see these people work with this kind of evocation, and these other people will work with the same kind of evocation or technique, but they're completely different. But you see a technology that's an underlying factor. It exists in a lot of different things, and so you just take that technology and you incorporate it into your own practice. Essentially is what I have done.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And if there was one thing that you hear that a lot of magicians say, or if there's one thing that you think a lot of occultist magicians got wrong, but then when I mean wrong, just relative to your viewpoint on it, other than the dogma thing, what would it be? Because it is big now, man. You can't turn on a podcast or anything without an occultist or a magician. That's everywhere now, right? Like, so is there anything about the way this movement is going that worries you at all, or that you're concerned about?
The movement right now, it needs a lot. I'm working on a rather large project that hopefully will shed some light on that, or give a way forward. But again, it's not structured really. It's more philosophy and technique, and it's going to be there for people to take that and move on forward. But the biggest thing I would say is to get out of the 80s Geraldo Rivero idea of what left-hand path is. Which is not, it's not evil. It's not evil, and that's the biggest hurdle to kind of get over, trying to work in, or explain to mainstream, or those who are in the Western tradition of, mostly Judeo-Christian dogma that they're in. It's just, look, and I mean, that's something I had to go through when I was looking at everything, coming back into magic as an adult. It's like, all right, I'm really drawn to this. This is considered black magic. But I went down the checklist. Is it self-empowering? Are you hurting anybody? Is this, it was like all these things were really good. I'm like, well, I don't see that there's anything evil with this. I see self-empowerment. I see a ascension of the spirit. I see people coming into themselves, and again, I see that across the board now. Like you said, the people are coming out more and more in droves, because they're looking for something for themselves. They're looking for something outside of the church or structured religions to make their own, to have their own empowerment. So, it's like the biggest thing is trying to, get over like this whole division of left hand, right hand path. This is evil, this is good. As I explained earlier, with like a good spell, as they say, you're still kind of screwing somebody over in that regard. So it's all perspective. It's like, don't look at them as divisions per se, but as two different parts to a machine that works.
Yeah,
it makes the car go. It's like pistons in a car. It's like you have an explosion and they repulse each other, but they're making the vehicle itself move.
Right.
They're both parts of a bigger machine, but people are very limited in their views of seeing just black and white, left and right, and they're not seeing it as a whole working together. That right there for me is the biggest hurdle I have in the left-hand path community, which I'm trying to change that a bit.
Yeah. So that's really cool, man. And if people want to start reading your work, because you got a few books, which one should they start with, you think, especially if they're like new to magic itself?
If they're new to magic, I put out just in the last few months, I had a lot of works or essays that were published in various occult journals throughout the years. And what I have done, it covers many different topics related to magic directly. And I put them all together into one book, which was basically it's Ben Qayin, the collected writings. All my stuff's on Amazon that you can pick up. I do have some rarer editions of hardcovers or deluxe editions. If people are interested in, they can contact me directly on Facebook, which is the best way to get a hold of me, at least for the time being. That's about to change. But for now, that's the best way to get a hold of me. But yeah, all my stuff is on Amazon. I am available again for consultations. You know, you can talk about, I mean, it's like this. You don't know, like you said earlier, I don't know what people are going to ask when they call in. A lot of times I have no idea what people are going to ask or want to talk about in consultations, but I love it. You know, it always ends up being a really good conversation talking about whatever it is that's on their mind, whether that be direction or technique or whatever. You know, then there's, you know, working with tarot, and I heard you, you know, in your last podcast talking about tarot, which is another huge, interesting subject. But I do tarot readings, even divination, as you were talking about. You know, using a crystal ball, which is completely different from reading tarot. It's a completely different creature. But you know, I do that, and I offer you know, different rituals or whatnot if people aren't wanting to do it for themselves, or they're unable. Sometimes they're in circumstances where they don't have the room, or they've got, you know, roommates or whatever it is going on, that they might need just a little bit of help in that direction. Then if people want to really take the reins in their own hands and really step up and make this their own thing, then I would suggest the apprenticeship that is offered there. But you know, just trying to get this information out, just trying to offer this assistance that I can from my own personal knowledge. And like I said, I'm no master. I have been in the field a very long time and studied extensively, but I don't have all the answers, and that's awesome because that means I get to keep exploring. I keep growing. I get to keep, you know, I haven't reached the end of the book or the end of the road. I'm still looking, you know, I'm still learning and exploring. You know, there's a lot of services out there. It's all, for me, it's all for the greater good of people moving forward.
Absolutely, man. That's awesome. And thanks again for coming on the broadcast too. It's good to talk about the subject. I love talking about this subject. And, it was really a very, I would say, refreshing conversation about all this for sure. So thank you again for coming on the broadcast.
It's been a pleasure. I've enjoyed it immensely. So anytime, I'm happy to get on and basically just talk shop about whatever it is.
That's fantastic. We'd love to have you back too. I'm sure everybody in the chat would say so too. The chat room is off the hook tonight. Thank you guys for calling in. Make sure you go check out his work. Follow him on Facebook. All the links will be in the archives as well too. Up next is The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. We'll be back tomorrow night for open lines. Good night. Sweet dreams. All right, man. Good show, brother. Thanks. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.